Hello. Writing this book and accessing memories, I think about American culture. And I want to just share some things. Hey, Jilly, this is my cousin, you all. I hope you enjoy this and that you will share some of your memories with me as well. I think about how we were free range. We didn't have to worry about so many weirdos trying to snatch us. We had lots of eyes looking at us, and it helped that your dad was a cop. Nobody was going to mess with us. And we'd roll down these hills. They weren't perfect. People weren't obsessed with edging, as you can see, but we would roll and avoid the dog poop, ride our bikes, big wheels, and all kinds of craziness without helmets. Our mothers were very close sisters, and their bond was beautiful. They grew up with pets and they had quite a charmed life. Now you can see why I love pets so much. We always had doggies and kitty cats. So, yeah, we get it natural. And I was laughing today. I was asking my mom about these tiles that she had placed in the home in Gary, Indiana. I have an uncle who always brings up how your mother used to spend so much money. She put mosaic tiles everywhere and furniture from High Point, North Carolina. But she corrected that today. She said, "No, I bought my furniture from Marshall Fields in Chicago." And oh, yeah, look at the Golden Girls. All of these pets are in heaven now. Matheny and Kahlua. Yeah, Matheny. I love Pat Matheny. Sorry. And our mothers and their brother Curly, our Uncle Curly, would travel to Americus, Georgia for the summer. And I love hearing my mom talk about that. The grandparents there, you could see our grandmother and grandfather standing on the steps there. Our grandmother being the doula for the community. She helped to bring so many babies into the world, including our grandfather. And that's how they adopted him. Long story, but they had such a prominent standing in the community. And you could see my grandmom standing with the children, Uncle Curly, Aunt Eleanor, and then my mother, she is hiding in the back because she was quite shy. And my Aunt Eleanor was a protector. And I feel like I have taken on that mantle as a protector. Now, the lady that is standing there, I'm not sure. I think she's a friend of the family. But anyway, we would hear stories of our grandmom sitting in the backyard, humming and singing and praying. And I do believe that we are still blessed by her prayers to this day. And Jilly, I want to share how sweet this picture is and the fact that you were such a comfort to my mother when I was away. And I think about just how much she enjoyed shopping for you, buying us these cute little dresses. I can see this dress to this day because she brought me those kind of dresses over to Cuba. And I love her fashion. Everything was John Wanamaker's and Gimbals and what, Bonwitz as well, but you were such a comfort to her, Jilly. And another thing, Jill, is you helped me so much when I returned home from Cuba. You helped me to speak English and to just become adjusted to life here in America. So you really have a prominent role in my life. And I just wanted to let you know that. Now, how is this for culture? I know that there are debates about us not having a culture, but these are examples of our culture because a lot of little girls that are foundational to America, we grew up with these type of hairstyles. The simple twisted hair, two braids or whatever, and the barrette balls with the yarn ribbons, and you could go back and look at just anywhere in America, and you'll see little girls that look just like me and my cousin Jill. Now, this is interesting. My mother told me that one of our aunts, Aunt Amy, who was from Savannah originally, she wore her hair just like this. I didn't realize she did, but there's nothing new under the sun. I wear my hair like this sometimes as a protective style. They tell me I look like the Black Princess Leia, but it's just nothing new. And here you are, our little yarn ribbons and all the various colors, so bright. It was just so much fun to get your hair done. It was a ritual. Oh my goodness, all the memories in your basement here. Look at me and my mother. What are we doing? We're mirroring each other. But yeah, we look at Pop Pop. We just loved our grandfather. We were always all around him. He was just the best, okay? And oh my goodness, what is that thing on the wall? I always wondered what it is. You got to let me know. It's like a barrel or something. But we would roller skate down in this basement and we would your brother Brian would choreograph our dance. We'd have dance recitals. I just remember doing this one to the Jackson Five. We were standing in a line and he had our moves down. He even had an electric guitar. We would just do so many performances. It's a wonder we didn't get into the music industry, but it is a good thing we didn't. Yeah. And our grandparents' home in West Philadelphia was the heart of the family. We met there every Sunday and had dinner. Yes, fancy dinners and just the cousins playing and the neighborhood. Even though I lived there part time, me and my mom lived there after the divorce, and I love the neighbors, the best neighbors. I would visit all of the older people. I just loved older people, elderly people, and I would run errands for them because there were so many stores, corner stores. They were local people that had grocery stores and candy stores and all kinds of things. And I just remember the neighbors were so close knit, and I miss that. One thing I don't miss is the spooky basement. Whenever I had to go down into Mimi and Pop Pop's basement, it was so scary. As you can see that window in the back there, the basements were like sunken. Oh yeah, mud flooded. Ooh, interesting. Yeah. I've brought that up before, but you can see a lot of the remnants of that old world and some of the tech. When I would go in certain houses in West Philadelphia, I remember seeing antiquitech, like weird things that I knew they had to have been used, but they weren't in use anymore. So, yeah, hard to describe, but if you know, you know. And look at this outfit that my mother has me in. Like I've said before, it looks like I was on my way to a corporate job, some kind of Chanel getup. And our grandmothers were quite the characters, especially our great grandmother Bernice, or as they called her, Chicken. When I think about her, it is so funny. I know she was quite the little tragic mulatto. I don't know what you want to call her, but she had her racial ambiguity, passing stuff going on. And wow. That's all I have to say. Wow. Now, check this out. Our grandmother here, this is in South Philly. They lived on Patterson Street when the kids were first born. I love hearing my mom tell stories about this neighborhood because she was the kid that would sit around and I don't know, she was real quiet and nobody thought she was really up to anything, but she was gathering intel on everybody. And she still remembers everyone's tea till this day. It's hilarious. But she told me that the family, I guess it was Aunt Amy and whatever, they didn't want our grandfather, as you can see here, very handsome. They didn't want him to marry our grandmom because she wasn't the pretty sister, according to them. They wanted him to marry our Aunt May, but he chose our grandmother, okay? And I think she's pretty. And I know that she was always compared to Aunt May, and they had that little sibling rivalry going on. But anyway, they stayed married over 50 years and had a beautiful family. And unfortunately, Aunt May didn't have quite the good turnout with her husband, but she did have a good turnout. Yeah, her second husband, she was really blessed. So, yeah, I have to take that into consideration. But anyway, it's just interesting how families are. It's nice to see pictures of our grandmother, Mimi, when she was vibrant and healthy because we knew her, unfortunately, after she was injured by a vaccine, the polio vaccine, which made her crippled. She had to be in a wheelchair sometimes, and sometimes she could walk with just a cane. But it affected our family, all hands on deck. We cared for her. My grandfather was amazing. And that's where I learned to become a nurse. She had lots of wounds and skin issues. I was always putting ointments on her and treating her wounds, helping everybody to lift her in and out of the bathtub. But all of us together, we gave her the most impeccable care, and she lived long past what the doctors predicted. That's for sure. She was very resilient, and I know that you might have thought she was mean, Jill. A lot of the cousins think she was mean. I see her in a different way because I spent a lot of time around her. She was strict, but she was fair, and I appreciated that in her. She scared me sometimes, and I never wanted to get on her bad side, that's for sure. Talk about getting on someone's bad side. This is one you did not want to do that with. This is my dad's grandmother, Granny, and we would visit her. Jill, you remember going to Granny's house? She lived in West Philly as well, and she was an amazing woman. I know a lot of people say she was mean and a lot of stories about her, but she was so nice to me. Now, I don't know what happened where she told us to go out back and get a switch, and we had to get the right kind of switch. That was the first time I've ever had, first and last time I've ever had to do such a thing, and I don't remember what we did. I think it was probably you, Jill. You probably did it because I was the goody two shoe. So what did we do to get a switch? A spanking by Granny. You have to let me know if you remember that. And our mothers would stay on the telephone if they weren't together. They were always hanging out together, but when they weren't hanging out, they were on the phone nonstop. And oh, I could not stand when my mother would call your mom and give a report. If I did anything to get on her nerves, she was on the phone like, "Oh, you got to hear what she did today." And then I'd hear whatever Aunt Eleanor was saying, and I'm like, "Oh, you got to stop doing that." But yeah, you probably remember that. It probably got on your nerves as well. The phone on the wall. And your parents were such a pillar of support and protection for me. I just loved them. My Uncle Irving, your dad, would speak such beautiful, affirmative things into my life because I was this lanky, awkward kid. And he would just always let me know, don't worry, Jen, don't worry. You're going to be fine, and just awesome. And your mom being the perfect trad wife to me. These trad wives of today, they have nothing on her. And I remember how beautiful she kept her home. She cooked so well, and she was creative. And oh my goodness, I remember coming home from school when we did go to school together, McCluskey, and she'd have lunch for us. We would walk home for lunch and go back to school. She'd have some kind of half a sandwich and soup. You guys like that liverwurst though. I didn't like liverwurst days, but I liked the peanut butter and jelly and stuff like that. But oh, the liverwurst was gross. What a difference. These pictures tell a story. I shouldn't find it so funny, but I have to laugh at it. But Jilly, you loved my dad so much, and he loved you and your brothers. And I'm so glad you had a close relationship with my dad, how he included you in our adventures, road trips, and all kinds of fun, summer fun. Both of our dads were like that because your dad, he showed me such fun times. He was a family man, and we would go to Gustine Lake. I looked up Gustine Lake. Remember, we would swim in this place, Gustine Lake? It was like the Schuylkill River was dammed up somewhere near the expressway, and they made some kind of fake lake with a beach and everything. If you were to tell people that now, they would swear we were like tripping out and like delusional. But yeah, if anybody remembers Gustine Lake, please let me know. I did look it up. It was a real place. I'm not having a fever dream. Okay. And I think about how funny it was with your dad being a cop. He just couldn't stand lawlessness and disorder. He had no respect for criminals. He was always calling people you bum. And It was just funny. He was strict. I respected him in the highest regard. He was loving, and I feared him somewhat. I never wanted to be on his bad side, but he was a wonderful uncle. And when I think about some of the things, like I think about Charles Chip, remember they would deliver these things? Like your mom had all of those things, like deliveries. I remember Mimi and Pop Up used to get milk delivered. You had milk delivered. They had like the special place on the railing outside for the milk to be delivered, right? And you think of Tupperware parties and these sheets right here. You guys had those sheets. I remember sleeping so sound because your dad loved to keep the house cold, like we were in the Antarctic, and I just would just tuck myself under and have like a big blanket, and it was just the best sleeping at your home. I loved it. Now, Jilly, this is how I remember your bedroom. You had the pink canopy and everything pink, pink, pink. Maybe I was a little jelly, I don't know. But your mom decorated it so adorable. And I remember this. We would take sheets because our family would just let us take old sheets and we would just string them up everywhere, make tents and all kinds of forts. But we would take the top of the canopy and hang sheets and make three divisions for you, me, and Kyle. And those were our tents, and we'd have snacks and stuff like that. Or we would pretend we were on the Orient Express. Yeah, we had quite the imagination. And I had step parents. Yes, I was a stepchild, and you helped to ease the whole step thing. Just, being around you. I had some siblings, I felt, but you had your relationship with my stepfather. My stepfather and I, we had a complex relationship. Yes, it was good, it was bad, it was in between, but it ended very good because I was able to be with him and comfort him as he died. I was sort of his death doula, you could say, where we had really powerful conversations. And as they say, you just never know who will give you your last drink of water. So life is really interesting. And my stepmama, she was just the amazing stepmother while she and my dad were married. And I love her. She instilled such amazing things in my life, especially as far as a scholar, being that she is a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania, Phi Beta Kappa in physics, and she really pushed me academically. I appreciate so much of that. I love you, Janice. Now, these pictures crack me up because it just shows how many adventures we would go on with my dad. And I love that your parents were cool. They would let you and Kyle come with me for the summer down to Atlanta to visit my dad. And we go on road trips like all around America. Remember, we went on the America tour? Like, we started out just loving each other. By the end of that trip, we couldn't stand each other. They would have to put dividers between you, me, and Kyle because if we looked at each other too long, we would start arguing. Remember? It's like, don't touch me, don't touch me, don't look at me. It was ridiculous. But I think about my little friend there, Genevieve. She was great. She was a little more worldly and mature than I was, but I had great times with her. I think that was the time when my dad had the little lion cub. Remember? He brought a lion cub home for the day. He talked somebody at the circus, this Barnum and Bailey circus was in town, and he talked them into letting him take a lion cub home for the day. And we played with the lion cub. A lot of people just wouldn't believe that, but I think you were there that summer when the lion cub was there for the day. And then, of course, Shirley Jones. We would meet so many interesting people, and it's just funny. So many stories I could tell just from these pictures. And I thought about the TV moms of the day and the culture at the time. And it's interesting that these were all broken families. I don't know the reasons. Was it divorce? Was Shirley Jones with the Partridge family? Was she a widow? Was the Brady mom, a widow, or was it a divorce? But anyway, blended families, step parents, and all of that stuff. It was beginning to become a bigger cultural thing. And I find that interesting. I could talk more about it, but I just wanted to share these thoughts. And if you want me to share more of some of the cultural aspects of growing up in America as a foundational American, I will have a lot of that in my book. So I will get back to writing, but that's what I've been up to, you all, is accessing memories and writing. I hope you all are doing well. I will be with you soon for another upload. Thank you.